hopefully people can join while we're on the agenda slide. So hi everyone and welcome to BBSRC's IAA webinar. My name's Faye. I'm part of the team that managed BBSRC's IAA awards. Thank you for everyone for joining, and for those who haven't been able to make it, this is being recorded and there'll be a link to the recording sent around by email after the webinar, probably tomorrow. So today's webinar is really about giving an introduction from us. As we've mentioned in previous emails, we're really keen to engage with the award holders and sort of work with alongside the other research councils to try and provide any support during this round of harmonised IAAs and sort of work out, where we need to tailor specific things to you. First, we'll begin with taking you through BBSRC's goals for the IAAs and how they form a big part of our investment for impact. We will cover a reflection piece on the previous round, where even though not all of you have had a BBSRC IAA before, we hope that seeing some of the activities and the outputs generated from the previous round would be helpful for you going forwards. There'll also be a brief update on the reporting requirements and on the Pathfinder awards. And as I've mentioned in previous emails, we want to talk through some potential engagement activities with you. So nothing is set in stone yet. We really welcome your feedback on this. We really want to make sure that we've got sort of an engagement piece that will work for everyone. We could do a mixture of different activities. So I'll explain more on this when we get to it. I'll take you through all the different options that we're considering, and then following from the webinar, there'll be a short survey that we'd really appreciate you filling in just to sort of give your feedback on what would work for you as an institution. So today we're also joined by Tyler Oran and Anna Davis from the National Centre of Universities and Businesses, and they're going to give a demonstration on their konfer platform later in the webinar. There's a live Q&A function enabled, so hopefully you should all be able to submit questions whenever you need to. We'll try and address these questions sort of live online and through the chat, and then we'll also pause at the end of BBSRC slide deck and then at the end of the konfer demonstration to take any more questions and elaborate on sort of questions. All questions need to go through the chat, but we'll pause at given points, just sort of address some of the questions that may need a bit more elaboration. So to begin with, I will take you through BBSRC's sort of vision for the IAs and how they fit into what we do as a council. So you may have seen this vision before. The vision of BBSRC is to advance the frontiers of biology to drive towards a healthy, prosperous and sustainable future. You may have also already seen the publication of our strategic delivery plan. So this details 5 strategic objectives for the next 3 years, which are centred around people and careers, places, innovation, ideas and impacts. And there's a lot of overlap within the remit of each of the teams at BBSRC, but the innovation and impacts piece broadly sits within the responsibility of the knowledge exchange and commercialisation team. So we're a team of 8 working in the areas of translation, innovation capability, enterprise and venture, and our sort of goal is to help deliver social and economic impact from public funds that are invested in bioscience research. So within that team, there are those of us who are directly involved in the IAAs, and that's primarily James and myself, who are both senior portfolio managers in the team. Then we also have Adam, who is the head of BBSRC's translation and innovation capability, and Nick is the Associate Director for Innovation, who provides oversight for all of our activities. We're also joined by Robert Stowden today from the Central UKRI team, and he's directly involved with the harmonised awards across each of the research councils. So for the next couple of slides, I'm going to take you through an illustration of BBSRC's intention for its IAAs. So they are there primarily to add value to existing funding or take advantage of new or unforeseen opportunities. And by being devolved funding, it allows for institutions to be really flexible and creative and responsive with the opportunities that they offer to their academics and researchers. The funding itself is intended to be used to create impact. So that can be things from supporting translational research projects, helping establish collaborations and strategic partnerships, engaging with any users of any sort of research that's ongoing at your institution, fostering knowledge exchange and supporting skill development of your sort of cohort of researchers and academics. So we also welcome activities that are tailored to support your own institutional goals. So that's the nice thing about the IAAs being so flexible, is that you can tailor them to sort of make them work for your own institution. And the funding can be used alongside other funding that you may have, or any other leverage funding that you've got. So in terms of specific types of activities that we'd anticipate that you would use the IAA for, would include obviously your translational research activities, so everything from prompt priming, proof of concept research, market validation, creation of IP. This type of IAA funding is also really ideal for running fast failure projects, because with the IAA you're not tied to a specific research objective. You can chop and change things depending on how things are working for you. So they give that flexibility for projects that may be struggling to get funding elsewhere and getting over those first initial hurdles. We also hope that the money will be used for wider reaching activities that support the development of transferable skills, knowledge exchange and research culture across your sort of research teams, not just one specific project. And you could do these by running a series of activities such as workshops, professional development programs, maybe conferences and other types of in-person events, or people exchange and visits with collaborators. So on the next slide, we have sort of a continuation of that sort of logic model piece that I showed you in the previous slide. So in the short term, we have several different types of outputs that can be generated from the IAA activities, and these will contribute to a variety of potential outcomes, which will hopefully long outlive the original IAA funding. So our outputs from the IAA could go on to support project-specific outcomes, such as increased technology readiness level, obtaining further funding for your research innovation, creation of spin-outs centered around specific innovations previously supported by IAA funding, or research outcomes could also eventually lead to license creation and new products and services for the future. So alongside these project-specific or innovation-specific outcomes, there's also those wider reaching outcomes that come from the wider activities that I spoke about in the previous slide. So by doing wider reaching activities, you're also helping develop the skills through provision of workshops and professional development, and that's crucial for your sort of supporting the early career researchers and the wider cohort of researchers that are going to essentially be hopefully innovators for the future. So in terms of future impact, the IAs are intended to form part of a cohesive network of support that the BBSRC and wider UKRI offer, with the overall aim of facilitating social and economic impact from public funded research. So we recognise that although they're small pots of money, they could eventually help build some of the bricks that lay the foundations for wider research in the future that could have really big impact. And this impact may take a variety of forms, including an increased uptake of transformative technologies, investment in UK bioscience, the GDP that could be created from goods and services generated from the research outcomes contributing to the economy, and the wider societal benefits that come from things like the support for sustainable food production, healthy aging and clean growth, just to mention a few of the sort of bioscience specific outputs that could benefit society. And as I said, by investing in people and as well as the science, we hope to facilitate that we will create people who want to produce, really great innovations for the future and drive us forward. So for the next few slides, James is going to take over the presentation and take you through a reflection piece on the previous round. So I'll now hand over to James and I'll control the slides for him. So James, if you just let me know when you need to change.
Yeah, thanks, Faye, and hello, everyone. As Faye said, I'm James Sunquist. I've been involved in the IAAs for a number of years now, so you may have come across my name previously. Following on from sort of that introduction to what we envisaged for the IAAs, I'm just going to look back at what we achieved and what we found out about the last 4 years where we ran the first full call of IAAs. And so we did, we had quite an extensive sort of monitoring program and reporting, and that really allowed us to see what types of activities the IAA supported, and of course whether they supported that variety that we envisioned when we set them out, and it's so thanks a lot for all the contributions to the monitoring and reporting, because it really does help us understand what's going on. And as you can see, overall there was a split of activities that was about 3-to-1 in favor of direct project support, and in terms of funding it was even higher, because those those projects of translational research and market research and things are slightly more took slightly more funding on average than the internal focus projects and the wider development projects like workshops and professional development. And that's, there was sort of no expectation, but that seems like a fairly good ratio. Obviously, some institutions chose to focus much more on one side or the other. So this is sort of the average of the whole, and there's no particular problem with that. And overall, we were very pleased to see the wide variety of activity and the different approaches, and that reflected the flexibility of the IAs overall. So next slide will show what else we've done with this. We've put together a sort of a one-slide infographic sort of style showcase of the outputs of and activities in that IA. So the amount of funding, the amount of leverage investment, the further funding that was achieved, which is obviously a really important outcome and output of these awards. And then we pulled out some stats, to highlight some of the impacts and outcomes of these awards over the 4 years. And obviously the statistics we pulled out there aren't necessarily sort of the ones that we're really looking for, the highlights. There's no sort of value judgment on them apart from the fact that they showed up really well in the infographic. So we're not trying to say that sort of spin out companies are the key measure of IA success or anything. It's just that it's something that people do recognize and it's good to look at. And of course, those, for example, the spin out companies wouldn't have been solely down to the IAs because there's a lot more that goes into them. So yeah, this is just a sort of sampler of the range of things that we all achieved. So it's great. And then the next slide is on the lessons learned. So as a result of the final reporting narratives and other feedback, we gathered some key feedback on the way it went, and we saw the good mix of the challenges, but also the opportunities that arose in delivering those IAs. And again, very, very heartened to see the adaptiveness and responsiveness, which shows that there's no single way to run an IA. I mean, on this slide, we've got lessons about some people preferring open calls, which allow flexibility and responsiveness, and others switching to closed calls, which kind of were more had allowed better sort of better application deadlines and clearer asks for the community, so that there's no one way to do this, and it's just important for those teams to recognize sort of what is and isn't working and adapt where necessary, as the slide says. And then this was again reflected in the application process for the current round, where again we weren't looking for any particular thing, but just for that confidence that the right structures and the right approach was in place to allow that flexibility and adaptability. So for this new round, we partnered with 4 other councils and with help from the UKRI sort of central team as well to deliver these in a aligned and more harmonized way. So quite a lot of work was done behind the scenes. It's obviously still a sort of a work in progress because we're not completely aligned on everything, and we don't have sort of it's hard to say what actually the sort of ultimate goal of the harmonization might be in the long term. So but there was a total budget of over 117 million, 137 different IAs, that's councils IAs to different institutions, and 64 different institutions involved. And so it was really good. There were obviously some administrative drivers, but also the hope that we would allow multidisciplinary working and lead to potential greater impact along the way. And as you can see from the current cohort, we know that quite a few of the IAs have other IAs in the institution, and that's spread across a variety of our other councils, mostly EPSRC and MRC there. And for the BBSRC part of it, we've got, of course, the 15 3-year awards and those 8 1-year Pathfinders from the additional funding we were able to find, which I think Faye will talk a bit more about.
Yes, I will. Thank you, James. So as James just mentioned, alongside the full IA awards, we were also running 8 1-year Pathfinders, and these were funded due to BBSRC receiving a high number of really good quality applications, and due to additional headroom that we had in the budget at the time, we were able to fund these 8 additional awards for 1 year only. So we recognise that holders of the Pathfinders are keen to hear if we'll be able to continue the support past this initial year. However, we're not in a position to provide any clarity on this until early next year, when we have a better idea of our own budget and what it's going to look like. So we appreciate this might cause some uncertainty for now, but we will let you know as soon as we can on that. But I'm afraid that is all I can tell you at the moment. We're really it depends on our budget is all I can say. But if you do want to discuss any more opportunities outside of the IAAs, then please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We've got our contact details at the end. You all know my email anyway. And we'd be more than happy to set up a chat to try and figure out if there's any other opportunities that we think you'd be suitable for to apply for. So again, going with more updates, we want to just update you on where the annual reporting is at, because a couple of you asked this in the past. So I want to first start off by saying that we don't use the reporting to rank or compare your institutions against one another. The reporting is there firstly to enable you to show how your plans are evolving over the IA awards, and it also helps give us an understanding of developments in the scheme more broadly and allows us to tailor our support wherever it may be needed. So going forward, the reporting, as it has been in the past for most of the councils, reporting will be made up of both quantitative indicators and a qualitative narrative section. And by reporting these 2 parts directly to UKRI, it will remove any requirement to report via research fish. So as I said, each council previously had its own method of reporting. They were broadly similar, but some councils asked for more detail in their templates than others. So we're working together across all the councils with Robert and Central UKRI to bring a harmonised reporting method that will allow you to give that sort of overview of all your IA awards while still being able to highlight council specific details. So the template for that is still being finalised, and also the system for data collection is still being finalised. But so for now, please continue with the guidance that was issued in the summer, and we will update you in due course, but rest assured everything will be ready in time for your next reporting window. So for my last slide, I wanted to pick out this engagement piece that we've mentioned quite a few times now. So we are really keen to engage with you and sort of help facilitate more collaboration and best practice sharing and knowledge exchange across all of you as institutions, and allowing you to work together if needs be, and sort of sharing ideas that may be able to help you all sort of take on that best practice. And also by doing this engagement piece, it also does help the BBSRC to be able to shape future opportunities, because by having more opportunities for us to get feedback from you, we can sort of see what isn't working, and that can feed into future rounds of IA funding or even different kinds of awards in the future. So it really is really helpful for both ways. And we hope it will be useful for you. So as I said before, we really like to take some feedback on this. We will be asking you to fill in a short survey that I'll send around by email, which is a Microsoft form survey, and it'll have just 11 questions just asking your preferences of what kinds of events you'd be interested in, time commitments. Some of the ideas that we've got so far are doing maybe we could carry on doing just webinars and online workshops. They're fairly easy to facilitate these days. We could open up the webinars to make them more interactive, maybe have guest speakers from different research organisations, and have discussion panels that would allow us to still keep up that dialogue with you and allow you to speak within your own across institutions and share best practice. It'd also be a really good opportunity for BBSRC to give any relevant updates. And the same true, we could also do in-person events which would cover all the things I just mentioned, but would allow for more of that networking piece and maybe more of those ad hoc discussions that come out of seeing people in person. So if you are up for doing in-person events, we'd be more than happy to try and figure out what the best way forward is in terms of hosting things in the future. These sorts of events would also, it would be easier from an organisational point of view to allow you to bring academics or researchers from your institution as well. Maybe we could do pieces where they can showcase their specific work from their projects that they're doing. Whereas if it's all online, it can get a bit messy. We also would like to see if anyone is interested in doing online discussion forums. So some of you may already be part of online discussion forums, maybe with Practice Oral, but we wondered if you would like an IA specific channel where you can sort of chat within yourselves and sort of ask questions to different institutions, you know, maybe about governance, structure, or core management, and various different things related to IA activities. If you just want a bit of advice from maybe an institution that's done one before and you're new to the system. So if you are interested in that, that's part of the survey, please let us know. And we'd be happy to try and facilitate that, either working with Practice or doing something really simple just through maybe LinkedIn or another online platform. And for my last sort of piece of information that I want to give you, just want to highlight that there's a BBSRC community webinar coming up, and this is on Friday the 2nd of December. People on this call are not directly involved in that webinar, but I know it's to sort of showcase our new strategic delivery plan. So if you are interested in going along to that and hearing more about that as a showcase piece, and I'll send through also as part of my follow-up email, send a link to that so you can register if you wish to. So please feel free to contact us with any more questions. If you think of things offline and you want to get back in contact, we've got our emails here at the end. So we've got the IA Impact Award team that just goes to a central email. We've got myself, James, and Robert's emails down there. So just please feel free to get in touch whenever you need to. So I think now we will pause for a second and see if there's any questions coming up, which I don't think there are. Have we got? Oh yeah, we've got one on reporting for the IAAs. And
yes, yes, we've got a question about the reporting windows and the timings of reportings and whether they'll be the same for everyone as well. And I'm happy for Robert to come in if he wants to, but I think
yeah, so I think the plan is it will be for all IAAs at the same time. I think we are anticipating it being once a year, although we're aware that this can be a lot of effort for institutions to put together. So let us know if that's going to be a real problem, and that's something we can look at doing it maybe less frequently. But we are anticipating at the moment an annual report for all IAAs, next window being after the 1st of April next year.
Okay. We have a question regarding the Pathfinders and asking if they could receive a no-cost extension. I don't know, does Adam want to take this question?
I mean, I'm happy to give it. I mean, if I think it depends if there's other IA funding arranged, because in that case, then that would just, I think, follow on from, you know, if it was available and depending how it was allocated, it would follow on. So that would, albeit the need for a no-cost extension, I think we can have a look at no-cost extensions in the Pathfinder case. It's not, they're not usually allowed for IAs because they have fixed terms, fixed start and end dates. But we do appreciate that Pathfinder is, you know, only 1 year, and it's kind of difficult to start and finish all of these activities in that kind of envelope. So we can certainly look at that and see what's possible.
Okay, we also have a question regarding standards. So talking about our follow-on fund grants that we offer. So yeah, at the moment, standard FOF grants do require BBSRC prior funding. I believe BBSRC IA funding does cover this criteria. And please look out for future opportunities from FOF, because we are looking at FOF at the moment and looking if we can sort of change those initial criteria to get into a follow-on fund grant. So there'll be more news to come with that in the new year, hopefully. And can we share the guidance on reporting again? Yes, we will. I'll send that round as part of my follow-up email, just to link with that, just to help you. Great. Okay. So if there's no more questions, I mean, if you have anything else that you want to ask, feel free to just pop it in the chat. If you think of it now, we can always come back to it at the very end of the webinar. So now I'll pass to NCUB and let Tara and Anna do their demonstration of konfer.
Thanks so much, Faye. Thanks everyone for joining us today. So as Faye mentioned, I'm joined by my colleague Anna Dent-Davies, and we're going to take you through konfer, what the platform is and how it can support the IAA programs in terms of finding and sourcing new partners, but also in terms of some of the reporting activities. So we're both joining you from NCUB, so the National Centre for Universities and Business today, and the NCUB does what it kind of says on the tin. We aim to make the UK a world-leading destination for business and university collaborations. We work in research and policy development to understand and strengthen the R&D ecosystem by conducting analyses, by using the strength of our cross-sector network and leaders to help and shape priorities in the UK, and by connecting universities and businesses through networks, events and technology. And one of those technologies is konfer. So back in 2015, NCUB, in partnership with Research England and UKRI, developed konfer as a platform to help university business collaborations. It was identified in several reviews that SMEs specifically and business as a whole found it really hard to navigate the weird and wonderful and complicated world of higher education institutions, which I'm sure we can all appreciate today. So konfer was set up as a direct response to help navigate and open up a window into research and development expertise and innovation expertise across the UK. Konfer is a free-to-use digital platform tool that enables universities and businesses to connect directly. It also allows us to research different databases, and the platform itself is there for all universities and businesses to use alike. It has information from multiple sources, including the funding councils across the research councils. We've got information on there from Innovate UK. We have information from across the 153 universities. We have digital profiles of over 150,000 experts, and we collect information on over 1.5 million pieces of research. And over the last 18 to 24 months, we've really expanded our business directly to host over 72,000 businesses that are deemed to be R&D ready. And what that means is they have either shown an interest in R&D projects, are of a certain size and scalability to be able to take on R&D and innovation projects, or have actually been in receipt of Innovate UK or KTP funding in the past. So these are businesses that are prime to be able to engage with universities and higher education institutions when it comes to innovation challenges or questions or activities in that space. So konfer really provides an all-in-one solution that enables you to gather information and connect and respond to opportunities, but also post opportunities, making it easier for businesses to connect directly with your institutions, further drive innovation, and really help support the IAA program specifically. So I'll hand over to Anna to take us through some of those features, but also to take us through that collaboration opportunity marketplace, which we think will be really beneficial for IA managers, either that are quite familiar with the IAA program or those that are completely new to the IAA program as well. And then we'll end with a couple of minutes in terms of how you're able to utilize the platform for reporting purposes too. So I'll hand over to Anna now.
Thank you, Tala. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to get the opportunity to present konfer to you today. Thank you for everyone who's signed up. I can see some people have signed up ahead of the webinar. If you haven't had the opportunity to sign up, you can do so really quickly and easily on the konfer homepage by just clicking this little chap here and then clicking the sign up, and it will take you to the sign up option, and it'll just you pop in your university email and create a password, and it's really as simple as that, and you'll be on your way in terms of having a konfer login. We can then see all the users who are connected per university if you log in with your university domain. So if I navigate first to what we call our opportunity marketplace, so these are the 147 calls for collaboration that we currently have live in Konfer. We can have a little look through these. So these have come in from universities and businesses, and they are from individuals or teams within the respective organisations that are looking for innovation partners. And we have calls across a really broad spectrum of opportunities for engagement and collaboration. So we have some calls which are very much focused on research and innovation activity, as things like joint funding, but we also have calls that are much more sort of early stage than that and are focused very much on finding initial collaboration partners. So it's really sort of broad in terms of how you can actually use Konfer. If I have a quick search here, I can have a look at some of the biotechnology collaborations that we have in Konfer. And we can have a look at these. So as we say, we've got calls from universities and businesses, and generally these are coming from someone looking for a collaboration partner to do some kind of innovation activity. So if we have a look here, we can have a look at the University of Sheffield's call. So we have a really clear title here. So seeking development or commercial partners for expansion microscopy technology. And within the call, we have an aim. So what the collaborator on the university side is looking to do. So they're looking to find commercial partners interested in R&D activity that might lead to commercialization of research and innovation and technology. So things like commercial license agreements. So the team here are quite far along in terms of the research and innovation activity they have done. And I know for a fact that they already do have some collaboration partners involved in some of this activity, but they're looking to broaden that and broaden their number of partners and perhaps generate some interest outside of the businesses and the other academic teams they're currently working with. So we have a really helpful description here. So we've got some detail about expansion microscopy, where they are so far in terms of their research and innovation activity. So they're looking at the technology overview. So this is a very high level look at the technology. They haven't gone into too much detail here. You wouldn't need to. And then the opportunity itself. So what they're actually looking for in terms of a collaboration partner, an individual or a group of partners. So this is quite a typical call, I would say, for Konfer, and it's not too detailed. So it's open enough that when this goes into university or business inboxes, it should resonate with anyone doing work in this area, but it's focused enough that we can actually match this with businesses in quite a targeted way. And just to have a look at another example here. So this is from the University of Dundee. So they're looking at methods of extracting nucleic acid. So this is a little bit sort of more high level. So this is focused around IP. So simply looking to utilize the technology that they have currently available in the university. So a really short description, some background, again, a little bit about the opportunity and a little bit about the benefits to the potential collaboration partner that this is going to go out to. So for calls that are relevant to businesses, as Tala mentioned, we will match these with those in our business directory that are most relevant to this particular opportunity. So we use our smart matching technology to do that. We have some technology and we have a small team of smart matchers who do that sort of human intervention as well. And the real power of Konfer comes from the fact that we can take a call which is quite specific, quite niche, and match that with this huge directory of innovation ready businesses to find those that are absolutely perfectly aligned to that particular opportunity and make those connections. So their connections which in the real world might be quite difficult actually to create, because the partners might be quite geographically spread out across the UK, or they might just not have had the opportunity to meet. So it's really useful for teams who are looking to engage outside of their usual suspects, who perhaps already have a consortia but are looking to grow that and looking to engage more broadly. They already have gone quite far in terms of their research and innovation and are ready to sort of commercialize that and are looking for commercial partners. And it's really broad, and it really depends very much on the type of project that you have. So as you see when you log in and have a look through, we have calls across the STEM sort of areas, but we also have calls around social sciences, around things like game technology, creative industries. And what we often see, which is quite exciting, is different disciplines coming together through konfer. So quite often you might have an area that's looking for business collaborators in quite a different area. So things like the development of game technology within a medical setting. Konfer is perfect for that kind of collaboration, because they're businesses who you might not meet in your day-to-day sort of engagement activities, or you wouldn't have in your existing business network. And so konfer can take that cross-disciplinary, interdisciplinary sort of opportunity and make those connections for you. So I can show you just really quickly what a collaboration form looks like for adding the calls to collaboration. Before I move on, is there anything you wanted to add to this section, Tala, or have there been any questions?
No questions for us. There is a question for BBSRC, but we'll take that towards the end of the presentation.
Excellent. Fabulous. Before I moved on, I wanted to just show you the collaboration form and how simple it actually is to add a collaboration and sort of put that into konfer. So as we can see, when we look through those calls, the collaborations have a title, quite often quite an enticing, neat title, like we are seeking businesses in an area of X, or we're seeking collaborators for commercialization of Y. And that could be a really good way to make it very clear when it pings into the inbox of those potential partners what you're actually looking for. The aim, again, is a great way of sort of focusing this call. This is exactly what we're looking for. We've already done this much work. We've already taken our research this far, but what we're looking to do is broaden the partners that we have around this, or we're looking to do something quite specific, and that aim can go in there. Literally 200 to 300 words. It doesn't have to be particularly lengthy. Start date, end date, some details from you, and the description. So this is a little bit more about what we do. This is a little bit more about this expertise and the specialisms that we have as individuals, or we have within our centre or hub or whatever it might be. And so just some context for the potential collaborator to sort of have a look at that. And again, so just some broad details. We can do some really quite advanced searching here and filtering, which I can show you a bit more when we go to the business directory, but you can filter this by location across the UK. So if you want to connect with partners regionally, you can do that in your region or further afield. And you can also be quite prescriptive in terms of the topics that we will use then to match that if you choose to. If not, we'll use the content of the collaboration itself to do that smart matching. And when this comes in, it will come into our team, so Tala, I, and our colleagues, and we'll have a really good look through this. And before it goes live on konfer, it will come through to us for review, and then oftentimes it's perfect, it's ready to go. If we did need a little bit more information, then we can get in contact and say, you know, could we get a bit more clarity around this, and we'll work with you to do that. So the team here is really sort of available, and we use quite a hands-on approach in terms of working with our university partners. So we're connected with the majority of universities across the UK, but this isn't something that will just sort of go live in konfer straight away. You'll have the opportunity to have a nice dialogue with us, and we'll do some of that hand holding to really help you to get the most out of how you use konfer in terms of promoting these opportunities.
Yeah, we'll also really help translate some of the academic language into business focused language as well, because we see that sometimes there's a blockade. So we'll help unpick that in order to best reach our business audiences within those fields that you require.
Yeah. What I might do then might take us onto our business directory, actually, so you can understand a little bit more when we're saying business directory and talking about these businesses, what we actually mean. And there's an area of konfer, if you go to explore and businesses, you can actually navigate and filter and have a really good look through the business directory. So this can be useful. It can be useful for finding and connecting with very, very specific businesses. So you can search and discover that way, and I can show you how to do that. But it's also useful in terms of understanding where businesses doing innovation activity might be clustered in the UK. So you can have a really good search and find, okay, there's a lot of businesses in this area in London doing this, there's businesses in this area doing that. And that's part of NCUB's and konfer's mission to really try and get a breadth of innovation work happening across the UK and understanding where these clusters are. And you can also use that for some of your engagement and research activities where you're looking to maybe do some intelligence gathering on businesses and what businesses are doing in the UK. You can use konfer to do that as well. So if I just do a really quick broad search here, so obviously we're looking here at the whole directory. We do have some filters here, so you can really quickly click into healthcare or chemicals or environment, that kind of thing, very easily if it's just that's easier, or you can do a search. So this is basically your Google for the business directory. So if I do something like biotechnology, we can see we have 218 businesses in the directory that are doing innovation work in the area of biotechnology. So as Tala mentioned, these are what we deem to be innovation ready businesses. So we haven't collected in all the businesses, so we don't have, you know, lots and lots of sort of restaurants and hairdressers and things like that. We might have some if they've been involved in innovation work, but by and large, we have businesses who have already been involved in things like KTPs or Innovate UK projects, or look very, very similar to businesses who have been involved in that kind of activity. So we've done some profiling there. So what we're looking to do all the time is make it as quick and easy as possible for you to find and surface relevant partners who are likely to be interested in innovation and helping you to connect. That's always the kind of objective whenever we're developing konfer or finding ways that konfer can be useful. So here we've got 218 businesses. So we can have a look. I mentioned about looking at where this is across the UK. So we can have a look at where these are. So we can see there's a cluster here. There's also a cluster in the north here, Midlands, and then we can see there's some Scottish businesses and Welsh businesses as well. So you can click on any of these, and when you click on it, you'll see the name of the business, and you can click through and connect with them directly that way. And you can zoom in on the map, and you can filter this a bit further. So if you're thinking actually what we're looking to do is find a really niche subset of businesses, you can continue to filter that. So for example, if I added something like skin, not that I know that much about biotechnology, we can see, okay, so we've got 11 businesses doing innovation work working in the area of biotechnology in the area of skin, and so it's much more concentrated now, and we can see where these are, so females, and we can contact them that way. If I take that filter off, I'll just show you some of the other filters that we have available. So you can filter quite a bit in terms of the businesses that you're looking to potentially identify and connect with. So you can filter on the size of the organization. So if you're looking to connect with the larger side of the SME, you can filter that way. You can just filter on things like patents or scale-ups or university spin-outs. So you'll probably find some of your own university spin-outs in here, or projects specifically, different size and that kind of thing. And you can actually save these filters. So if you do quite an advanced filter that you want to come back to, you can save that for later. And this teams do this quite often, and they'll have a number of filters and they'll keep an eye on those and monitor those. And you can connect directly as well. So if we go back and hone this, perhaps 200 odd is a bit too many to search. So if I just go back to that, I know there was some there. So we can see there are 11 businesses doing work in this area, and we've got those businesses listed here as well. So we can see who they are, the size, a bit about the growth, the size, trading years, and that kind of thing. And so if I click on one of these, this is Cytoceutical Limited, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So we can have a little look. So they're in the area of manufacturing, including materials, and we can have a look at, they've been trading for quite some time. They've been involved in a number of projects, and they have a patent as well. So if we have a look at some of these projects, we can see that they have been involved in a wound recovery project with the University of Surrey. They've been involved in a project looking at biological products for the skin, and that was an Innovate UK funded project, and is looking at some skin delivery focus for retinol as well. So we can have a look at the projects they've been involved with. If they seem perfect, if they're an excellent collaboration partner, we can connect directly with the business using that simple connect button. And you can ping them a quick message and say, I'm really interested in connecting with your business because I'm doing this innovation activity also. If you're looking to connect, if you find that 11 or find that 200 and you think that's really interesting, the better route to go down would be posting the collaboration itself, because that would negate you having to do any of that targeted sort of work. And effectively what we would do is we would ping your call out to those businesses specifically using our smart matching technology. And it's often more effective because when you connect this way, you connect through to a sort of information act area of the business. Whereas when you connect through a collaboration, where it's more targeted, so we're able to connect you with some more individuals, normally 2 or 3 individuals within an organization. It'll be like chief marketing officers or chief technical officers. So the collaboration route, I would say, is better if you're looking to target a number of businesses, but this can be really interesting for intelligence gathering and for finding and connecting with very specific individuals.
It's probably important at this point to say that what konfer allows you to do is that initial reach out and connectivity with the businesses. We step away from the conversation once you've had that initial connection and you've had that initial engagement. We of course love to hear about the success stories, so we will probably be getting in touch with you and the business again in the future to kind of understand what the impact of that connection was, whether it actually led to running an IA program and things like that. But we do step away at that initial connection stage. I can see here that we've had a question from Laura Bates. It says, our TTO uses InPart. Could you tell us if konfer is complementary to this or similar? So konfer is different to InPart because we do step away at that connection stage. What konfer also does is it collates a lot of information from different sites, and we have a lot of different data sets within our platform coming together to be able to give you that all-round knowledge. So it is different to InPart, but the other thing to actually say is it's completely free to use as well. So any institution, any business can actually create their own account on konfer and engage in that way directly. And the other thing is we have created some filters specific to the IAA programs, which is why we've been talking to the research councils, so BBSRC today and the other research councils in time, to actually specifically look at the IAA program in detail and start thinking through how we can measure the impact of the sector as a whole using konfer as a free to use platform to be able to do that. So what our fabulous technical team have done in the background is actually enable some filters to be able to highlight those project and program opportunities, to specifically pull out those that are part of the IAA program. And if you just hover over the IAA tag there on the left hand side, you can see that it's already just pulled through some IAA collaborations specifically, and you're also able to filter out per research council. So if you are looking specifically at those BBSRC IAA programs that your institution is undertaking, you are actually able to filter that out via each of the research councils as well. And these collaborations will be posted on each of the university featured organizational pages as well. And something that we didn't take you through today, but you can have a look at in your own time, is the institutional profiles. So like I said, we collect information from across 153 universities across the UK, creating a digital profile for each, and the collaboration opportunities will be posted to each one of those sites, depending on what they are. I think we've also had another question. So would konfer be suitable for looking for CDT partners rather than specific projects? Could you elaborate as to CDT, if that's okay? If I can ask it from that person who's posted that question.
Centre of Doctoral Training.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Centre of Doctoral Training, I think they mean.
So specifically, when we are looking at konfer, we are looking at consortia building between universities and businesses directly. We have had a call for consortium building, actually. I think it was from the University of Southampton. Is that right, Anna? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So we did have an academic that was looking to specifically build a consortium of expertise around a specific area. I think it was environmental and ecological challenges, if I remember correctly. I may be mistaken in that one. But he specifically put out a call, and he found responses not just from businesses, but also via other academics too. So that might be something that might be of use to you. Other questions? So Our discoveries can often be global in application, so we may need international collaborations, say in the US, for example. Does your database? Yes, actually, what we've noticed is that over 50% of the collaborations posted on Konfer do come from international partners, so international and global partners, I should say, so multinationals as well. And it's a great way for showcasing UK expertise to some of those international collaborators. So please, by all means. Yeah, I think that's answered that question.
Something I could have mentioned or should have mentioned when I was going through these, just to go back to that first question, is we do work with other online tools and online platforms like Leading Edge Only, Ploughshare, Interface in Scotland, who do a similar kind of thing to Konfer in that they look to find collaboration partners on behalf of their clients. And because Konfer is a free platform, we really encourage those kind of collaborations, connection making on our side to work with those partners. So Leading Edge Only and Ploughshare promote a lot of their opportunities on Konfer, and largely it's because not to brag, but our business directory is bigger. It's the biggest business directory of innovation businesses in the UK, I believe. So it sets us apart a little bit, but because we're focused solely on UK innovation and helping and supporting that innovation ecosystem, we will really try and work with other online organizations and online tools to do that as well. So in that sense, we don't see ourselves as a kind of competitor too. We really try and bring them in and work collaboratively with them.
Yeah, we amplify the message rather than fragment it, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
There was a question around the IAA filter. Yes, absolutely. So when you are setting up a collaborations around the IAA, what I would suggest is actually just flagging that it's an IAA program. And on the back end, what we'll do is our tech team will be able to apply that filter to that collaboration opportunity specifically. So I think Anne is actually taking us through that now. And what that enables you to do further down the line is filter out any of the collaborations posted by your institution, filter out just those IAA collaborations specifically, and also you're able to see that across the system, across each of the research councils. So you can see that IAA tick box just there. Thank you. Wonderful. I think we're probably out of time, Anna, so we'll probably hand over to Faye, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you very much, Anna and Tyler, for giving that really good demonstration of Konfer. Is there, right, I'll just ask for any more questions for both Anna and Tyler and for BBSRC. So we've got a few more minutes until the webinar is supposed to come to a close. So yes, please feel free to just type any questions up in the Q&A section and we'll get to them. There was one point I wanted to clarify for the purpose of the recording because the question and answer piece is not covered in the recording. So to confirm, I made a mistake. BBSRC IAA funding does not give you automatic eligibility for the standard and super FOFs, the follow-on funding. So if you have any more questions about this, please discuss it with us. But again, just to flag to you that we are currently looking at the development of FOF as a programme, and eligibility is a big part of that. So when there's news on that, hopefully in the new year, we'll let you know of any changes to eligibility requirements. So in terms of open questions, we have, as part of the IAA harmonisation, are there any plans to adapt the structure of the BBSRC IAAs, e.g. to give SUMAs and a FOF are separate from the IAA and BBSRC but incorporated into the EPSRC IAA? James, would you like to take that?
Yeah, I can cover that a bit. I mean, so it does come down a bit to budget and how we like to manage it and how much we've got in the pot. So obviously EPSRC wrap a lot of different sort of translation and knowledge exchange things into their IAAs, which are quite substantially bigger than ours. And we do things like FOF and separate programs. Now the advantage of that is obviously that you know, that those are open to all researchers across the country, across the networks, and not just those that win an IAA. So we do like the fact that the FOFs are kind of an open call, and FTMAs are yes, it's kind of similar opportunity to IAAs. Those are the flexible talent mobility accounts, and but those are run out of a different parallel sort of budget in our skills team. So that comes from a different angle, and so they're not. I mean, you can do, people exchange activities with the IAAs. We didn't notice a lot of that, partially because there was FTMAs available to a large number of the IA holders, and partially because it's sort of difficult to do, and other things obviously had priority. So yeah, I mean, it is kind of an area of overlap, but we're not necessarily looking at combining them just because of the different, I guess, provenance of the things right now. But who knows what will happen in the future, and it will all depend on budgets and ways of working and things, I think.
Okay, and then we've got another question about konfer, so I'll let Tyler take that, asking if there's any training available on konfer.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can either reach out to myself or Anna. Anna is actually our university's engagement manager. So she directly works with institutions in terms of training them up on konfer and helping post some of those collaborations. And we also have a stream of work in terms of direct data feeds with universities, so that we are representing your institutions and organizations in the best possible way on the platform to business partners. So please do reach out. We also have a weekly conversation, which runs once a week on a Thursday. So you can feel free to drop in and on that. What I'll do is I'll share the details with Faye, so you can pop into one of those. They're completely online and free to use.
Thank you, Tyler. Okay, so we have no more questions at the moment. Please feel free to fire them in at the last minute, but we're not seeing anything else coming up. So we will probably close here unless something immediately comes up. Thank you to everyone for joining us today and listening to our webinar. Thank you to Tyler and Anna for coming from konfer and explaining everything about konfer. And thank you to Robert for joining us from the Central UKI team. And I think we'll leave it there. So as I said, I'll send around a follow-up email probably today. Sorry, not today. I'll wait for the recording to process, because sometimes that takes a bit of time. Probably tomorrow, email gets sent round with the recording to this webinar, slides, all the other information that we've mentioned that we're going to add in. So information on konfer, all our contact details, and a link to that survey that I mentioned about engagement. So you'll have a nice sort of packaged email waiting for you hopefully tomorrow. So I will end there, and thanks again for everyone for attending, and I look forward to speaking with you in the future. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.